Good evening, everybody. Chef Catco here. Tonight, the demonstration is going to be on preparing beef stroganoff. Beef stroganoff is a classic Russian dish, but actually, it wasn't created by a Russian, but rather the French chef of a 19th century Russian nobleman, Count Alexander Stroganov. Anyway, briefly discussing the components of the dish and the mise en place, we're going to have onions, mushrooms, and just a quick discussion, about mushrooms and uh, reviewing the significance of them in Russian cooking. Um, as probably you read, Russia has a lot of big forests, and in these forests, there are plenty of areas where mushrooms do grow wild, and a tradition in that country is something that translates into English as silent hunting. Okay, where you go with a shovel and a knife and scour the ground looking for all sorts of exotic and wild mushrooms. Today, we're going to be doing something maybe not so exotic. These are baby, baby bellas or baby portobellas. And basically, what we're going to do is go ahead, half them, and slice them about a quarter of an inch, like so. Okay, it's kind of like that. And there we go. Now, the main ingredient, okay, obviously is beef. Now the question is, what cut of beef? Okay, what cut of beef would be most suitable? Well, the answer is something that essentially is tender, something from the middle part of the animal. Ideally, classically, traditionally with this dish, they would use something from the beef tenderloin. Okay, so yes, you could use a filet mignon, a little expensive, but it's possible to do that. Probably more practical, something we would call tenderloin tips that comes from the ends of the beef tenderloin. A more economical choice would be any cut from what we call the top sirloin butt. Okay, it's also located in the loin, not the short loin like the beef tenderloin is, but rather the sirloin. Okay, I'm sort of doing a sort of in between. Okay, I'm using something from the short loin. This is a New York strip steak. Okay, and what I've done, okay, or what I will do, is go ahead and I'm going to trim it. It's a little bit of bone and cartilage here that I will trim. And then what I'm going to do is proceed, and I'm going to cut it into about maybe, I'll estimate half-inch thick strips. Trim off some of the excess fat. Okay, but this is really the eye of the loin, the eye of the short loin, and so it is intrinsically a very, very tender cut of meat. And the reason why there's an emphasis on using tender meat, the cooking method, the primary cooking method to make this dish, okay, is saute. And saute really, in order to saute something successfully, it has to be tender. It has to be high in moisture. Ideally, if there's a bit of fat in it, especially if you're sauteing meats, okay, that will basically help to impart tenderness when we apply the high heat of saute in order to cook this. Okay, so essentially we're looking at pieces like this. Alrighty. Okay, so The next objective, okay, I have my saute pan preheating. And again, very important or fundamentally important thing of a saute, you have to have a hot pan. Uh, the reason being, okay, the reason being is that in order to saute successfully, that is, in order to reach one of the objectives of saute, to effect what we call a sear or a quick caramelization of something, okay, in order that we get a nice pleasing color, in order that we create flavor, in order that we hope to slow down, not stop certainly, but help to slow down the sort of the outflow of juices when it hits the heat. The whole idea of saute, it's like literally you cook an item very, very quickly in a small amount of fat, literally a flash in the pan. And in doing so, uh, if you really are able to effect a sear very quickly and initiate the cooking process very quickly, okay, you retain moisture, you retain the tendons of the item, you create flavor, and so all that revolves around making sure your pan it's hot, and when you add the fat, in order to saute, the fat will get hot uh, right away. Um, Now, the fat of choice that I'm kind of using a combination. I'm using straight vegetable oil. I'm doing this because vegetable oil has what we call a high smoking point. Okay, it takes a lot of heat before this particular oil breaks down, which is something well suited to saute. But in addition to that, I'm going to add a little bit of butter, and basically I'm doing this for flavor. An ideal kind of compromise would be to use what we call clarified butter. When we cook the butter to the point where the butter fat separates from the uh, other components of the butter, mainly the liquid and the milk solids. Uh, but this is sort of a kind of a substitute way of doing it. Okay, so indeed, okay, I have, or what I do want to have, okay, I want to make sure, okay, that I have about between an eighth of an inch, a quarter of an inch of fat on the bottom of the pan. Uh, what we'll do, I'm going to draw off a little bit of this, okay, I just feel it's a little bitty too much. That's more like it, okay? And what I'm doing right now, besides waiting for the fat in the pan to be hot enough, okay, in order to know when that will be, it was just sizzling before. Okay, I'm gonna wait till that fat stops sizzling because it's sizzling from the moisture content. I want the moisture content to evaporate, which is doing it about right now. In another 30 seconds, okay, it's gonna be good to go. Okay, so indeed, I'm going to proceed. Oh, and the other thing too, in order to make sure that you really get a good sear, any excess moisture on the outside can be detrimental to that reaching that objective. So that's why I'm blotting it right now. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and put our beef in a single layer in the pan. And I'm going to be very careful. I don't feel it's going to be a problem, but I'm going to be very, very careful, okay, in making sure that I don't put too much product in the pan, because one thing to keep in mind, whenever you introduce something that's not hot to, a hot pan or the hot fat in the pan, you are causing the temperature of the fat to decrease. Now, if you add too much at once, if you do what we often refer to as overloading the pan, what's going to happen, the temperature of the pan, the temperature of the fat is going to decline too quickly, and instead of sauteing, what you're going to have, okay, it's almost like a steaming. And what happens with this, that should happen. Number one, you won't get a good sear, you won't get a good caramelization. Number two, a lot of the moisture is going to just ooze out, and the product might stand to be a bit dry. In some cases, it might even toughen the product. Okay, so that's all in there. Okay, so I can see that there's moisture coming up to the surface of the meat that's not in the fat. So this is a sign that turn the meat. So I'll show you in a couple of seconds. That I'm looking for. And another thing about saute and French beans jump the pan. Okay, so I don't know if you can see in the light, but again, let me get a single piece. But this is kind of what we're looking at. A nice, good caramelization. Let me put the stack right on the fire, because when I lift it off the fire, okay, it loses the heat, and I don't want that to cause it to start to steam. Okay. So, all right. So I don't want to cook this anymore. I want to leave it a little bit pink inside. So what we're going to do, we're going to go on ahead. We are going to drain the meat. I'm going to put some of those juices I'm going to save and put back in my stock. I just want to show you something. Okay. Again, bottom of this pan, you see a lot of like a residue. Okay, that's known as flan. Flan is like little bits of caramelized juice. Okay, and so forth. That is full of flavor. So I'm going to do a few things that's going to capture that flavor. All right, so put a low the heat, because I don't want to burn that flan. If I do that, it might cause the sauce to become bitter. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and add my mushrooms. Mushrooms as a vegetable is very, very high in water content, and that's one of the reasons why I add my vegetables first, because I want to get rid of that water to concentrate that flavor. And I'm going to add just a touch more oil, like maybe a teaspoon or so. Okay, so this way the flan won't burn. And I'm just going to lightly saute this. I'm just going to lightly saute this for like about a minute. Start that process of extracting the water. I can tell right now the moisture is coming up to the surface, top surface of the mushroom, and that's kind of what I want. And so once I see the mushrooms beginning to exude that moisture, okay, when they start to do that, then I increase the heat a little bit. I'm going to add my onions. And onions, shallots, leeks, in this type of procedure are very good, because they actually capture a lot lot of that fond, and they sort of, in effect, clean the pan. Okay, so what we're going to do, add our onions, small diced onions. And I just want to show you the amount of juice that accumulated, okay, from the meat. Okay, that's going to go right into my stock. That's, that's flavor. Now, some recipes, maybe not the specific one, but generally saute. What we would do at this point, we would add some type of liquid, wine or brandy, and some cases even something like balsamic vinegar. And what this will do, it will dissolve a lot of that fond, and later on, when we add other things like stock, for example, make a sauce, that dissolved fond creates a layer of flavor. Okay, so what we're doing now, okay, we are effecting a light caramelization. Let me try showing you. A light caramelization of the onions. My mushrooms are really giving up that moisture, okay. And in another 30 seconds, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some flour, okay. And indeed, in doing that, I will be creating what we could call a pan roux, and that's going to be the thickening agent in creating the sauce for this dish. Okay, so indeed, now is the time to proceed with this. Okay, stir on my flour. Okay, give it a stir. Lower this heat, because in any time we make a roux, okay, we want to devote some time to cooking the roux, because we want to rid that chalky, floury taste, or the chalky taste of uncooked flour. So I lower the heat because in doing so, I don't want to burn the roux. Okay, so we want to get rid of the raw floury taste, but we want to do this at low heat. Okay, because this way the flour won't burn. Okay, I'm going to let that go for about a minute. And just a word about the stock that I did. Now this stock, okay, I didn't really have time to make a a brown stock. Okay, but what I did, I took like ordinary, I think this was like kitchen basic stock you get in the store, low sodium. And what I did, I basically caramelized some vegetables, onion, celery, carrot, basically in mirepoix. And when I caramelized them, okay, I added a little tomato product, added this store-bought stock, and it made a nice brown color. Okay, it's kind of like a mock brown stock. Okay, so here's my pan roux with the vegetables. And I'm going to add some Dijon mustard, hence the French influences in this classic Russian dish. incorporate that. Now what we're going to do is proceed and we are going to incorporate our stock into our pan roux to make the sauce. And you notice that initially I do it off the fire because the reaction, the thickening reaction is very quick. So I'm doing it off the fire to kind of control the speed of that thickening reaction. Okay, put it back on the fire. Again, this is an electric stove, so it's not really, fire. Raise the heat a bit. And you see I'm adding the stock in stages, making sure that it has a chance to be incorporated with the flour and the fat that comprise this pan roux. I'm raising the heat a little bit because I want to activate the starch in the flour so I could better judge how the thickening process is progressing. Okay, I'm going to add a bit more. Okay, as I bring this to a simmer, and let me just show you real quickly. Okay, I'm probably going to add the rest of the stock, and I'm going to let this sauce sort of simmer, and by letting them simmer, any residual raw floury taste should dissipate, and then we'll be ready to put the dish together. Okay? Okay, we'll let that work. Okay, see you in a bit.